This is Gazing on Saturday, February 4th, 2023. The title is Love Sublime. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Connie Shaw, and this is my wonderful husband, Jim Wright. We have cleared you and your household and your drinking water in your homes and workplaces before we started. You won't believe what we have for you today. The Lord is gracious, and His energy, love, and miracles are moving across the planet right now like never before. Thank you for joining us. Now, let's pray. Beloved Lord, we thank you from the depths of our hearts for every grace, blessing, healing, miracle that you've ever provided for us, including all of our challenges. Please strengthen and deepen all of us for the exciting work ahead in which each one of us has a role to play. Let us open our hearts to receive more of your sublime love, wisdom, and power, and let us never ever take credit for your glory and miracles, and be ever ready to love, to serve, to teach, to inspire, and to uplift those in need. Fill us increasingly with your radiant Holy Spirit and with love, praise, and gratitude. Please heal all those who see this. We thank you, beloved Lord. Amen.
Today's program is entitled Love Sublime, and it's packed with useful and inspirational information, as you can see on this program chart.
Now then, you see, we'll have healing stories, Wilma's Sai Baba gift, Wilma's refuge in the blizzard, Sue's Salt Lake surprises, and also we'll have something about the Prema return, a teen girl's in-home heart surgery, time collapse when you're running late, a technique to collapse time in your favor, then the secret of Sai Baba's healing process, which he gave me in an interview in India, then also a very, very powerful time travel key, which is a healing process for you. Then our 3-minute healing video on the many, many things that the Lord has done through gazing. The Masters of Light slideshow, which is about 6 minutes, and then the gazing induction by Jim, and then gazing with us, which is about 5 minutes, the outpouring of U.S. revivals. You won't believe what's happening. And then miracles that happened just last night and the night before in Charleston, South Carolina. Then we'll do a review of the program and our final prayer. And the next program for gazing is March 11th, 2023, 2 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Now then, we are going to start out by telling you, as we said, one of the teaching stories that absolutely illustrates the abundant, sublime love that the Lord has for every single person on the planet. We are going to start telling you about we're going to do the time collapse chart, which says, I'm not late, I arrive on time without speeding. And that is going to be a little later, but coming right up in the program. So now what we're going to do is tell you a story about Wilma Bronke, the late Wilma Bronke from Grants Pass, Oregon. The title of this is Wilma's Surprise in a Movie Theater. Wilma Bronke took many, many people to India as a free service, as we ourselves have done countless times, scores and scores of times over the past 40 years. When Wilma Bronke first heard of Satya Sai Baba, that the Lord of the universe, that the divine was in a human body living in an obscure village in South India, she knew in her heart she had to go see him. And she prayed that she would get the money and have the means to do it and to be able to stay a certain amount of time. And she kept talking to him, just praying to him in her mind. And she kept thinking, oh, I've read so many books about him. And I've heard that he manifests things out of thin air, rings, lockets, watches as talismans of protection for the people that he gives them to. And most of these people are leaders of some kind. They have a lot of responsibility. They're surrendered to world service. And so one day, she and a friend went to a movie theater, and they were sitting in the movie theater in their seats just watching the film. And Wilma always carried a big purse, a big open purse stuffed with all kinds of things, and usually unzipped. So she happened to look down beside her chair, and there was something happening. There were all these sparks of light coming out of her purse, and she thought, oh my goodness, I hope my purse isn't on fire. I don't smoke. I don't have any inflammatory or incendiary things in my purse. I wonder what that is. So she picked up her purse, looked down in it, and it was a ring that had been manifested by Satya Sai Baba, and it was flashing and sparkling, so she couldn't miss it. So she put it on her hand. It fit perfectly, as his rings always do, and she was thrilled. When she eventually got to India a little while later, and she had an interview with her group, with Sai Baba, he said to Wilma, "How did you like the ring?" So she knew for sure that it had been from him. Now, as I said many times in telling this story, Sai Baba had told Wilma Bronte that she had been the late Mary Todd Lincoln, the wife of Abraham Lincoln, and that her husband, Ivan, in another lifetime, had been, in fact, Ulysses S. Grant. So it's interesting that they lived in Grants Pass, Oregon. She and her husband and family and friends put on many, many memorable retreats over the years, and people came from throughout the country and sometimes from abroad to be there for the wonderful singing, fine food, and for the lovely programs and speakers and the miracles which took place. Another time that Wilma was greatly blessed by God, and I think this is the best miracle story I've ever heard, or at least in the top 3. This was a time when Wilma was driving in one of the western states from Oregon, and she had to go a long way by herself. And the weather, as you may know, everywhere can be quite unpredictable, and especially in the west. The temperatures can drop 30 degrees overnight, and there can be winds, tornadoes, snow, hail, and terrible, terrible blizzards. As Wilma was driving along, all of a sudden blizzard came up. It was a whiteout blizzard where a person cannot see in front of them. So she crept along in the car very, very slowly, couldn't even see the sides of the road, was praying the whole time, "Oh, help me, Lord, help me. Please don't let me fall off the side of the road or encounter another vehicle in this storm. Oh, please help me, help me, help me. And it's late and it's getting dark, and what am I going to do? And it's getting cold, and I don't have a place to stay, and I can't even see ahead, and I'm getting low on gas. Oh, please help me, Lord." Well, the next thing she knew, up ahead there was sort of a dim light in the blizzard, and she saw that it was a gas station and a convenience store. So she pulled in and just decided to lock her car and just to run inside and not get gas, but to get gas the next day. Now, by this time, it was quite late in the evening, and as she walked in, what did she see? Inside the gas station, which had a little convenience store and some booths and tables, a small restaurant, she saw that it was absolutely filled with travelers, especially truckers, and men and women, but mostly men, were all draped over the tables, sound asleep, falling over in the booths, resting their head on the wall, leaning on the wall with their feet up to their chests on the floor. The place was packed, just packed. There was no place to sit down at all, and most of the people were falling asleep. Suddenly, a waitress came up to her and said, "Yes, ma'am, may I help you?" And she said, "Oh, I've driven such a long way. I think my adrenals are shot. I need a place to stay, but I don't know what to do, and I'm so hungry, but I'm just more sleepy than hungry. Can you recommend a motel nearby?" And the waitress very sweetly smiled and said, "No, ma'am. there aren't any motels for miles and miles around. And it does look like the floor is taken with all these truckers, and it looks like the booth seats are taken, and the bar area and the bar stools are taken up. But, ma'am, I do have a place for you. Come with me and see what you think. So the waitress said, just follow along behind me. We'll go up a short staircase, and I have my key in my pocket, and I have a little place that I think will be perfect for you. Wilma said, oh, bless you, dear. Thank you, dear. I'm just so grateful. I just feel like I could fall over. I'm so exhausted. And the woman said, yes, that's quite a blizzard out there. So they walked up the carpeted stairs. The waitress took out the room key, opened up the door, and there was a fully furnished room with a pair of twin beds and a carpet. It had a desk, it had a vanity, it had a mirror, it had a lamp, and it had matching curtains and bedspreads. And then she showed her the little bathroom with a tub and a shower and the toilet and the sink. It was perfect. Oh, it looked so good to Wilma. And Wilma said, well, all those people downstairs need it as much as I do, and they got here first. Are you sure you want me to let me stay here? And the waitress said, it's just fine. Don't worry. And Wilma said, well, what do I owe you? I can pay you now. Just tell me anything. Just tell me how much it'll be. She said, well, we'll settle that up in the morning. Don't worry now. I know you're tired. Well, I think you'll find everything you need. This is the closet. There are plenty of hangers. You can just lie down. The sheets are freshly put on the bed, and there are fresh towels in the bathroom. And I hope you'll be very comfortable before you have to start out on your way tomorrow morning. Well, Wilma was just thrilled. She said, oh, Lord, Lord, you are too wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you. Of all these people on the road, all the people downstairs, that you would give me this room. Thank you. So she woke up the next morning, and the sun was out. She quickly put on her clothes and her coat, ran downstairs to pay the waitress. But there was no waitress anywhere to be seen. It was not, she didn't see the one. And so she thought, well, she must have been working on the night shift only. So she rushed outside, gassed up her car, and after she gassed up her car and started driving away, she turned her head just to smile on that beautiful gas station convenience store with the little room on the second floor. And she was shocked. There was no second floor. There was no second floor at all. It was a one-story gas station and convenience store, nothing special, and not nearly as large as to have accommodated all those travelers and truckers the night before. Oh Lord, how great thou art. Thank you. Now then, we'd like to tell you another teaching story, which includes news about Prema Sai Baba's return, Mother, Father of Love, the third avatar in the triple avatarhood of Shirdi Sai Baba, Satya Sai Baba, and Prema Sai Baba. This story is called Sue's Salt Lake Surprises. In Salt Lake City, Utah, at the home of Sujata and Sarit Rimal, there have been countless miracles. The photographs and pictures in their home are covered with sandal paste and with kumkum powder and with Satya Sai Baba's fragrant healing vibhuti ash. Now, Sujata is the daughter of the famous Nepali Sai devotee and healer Barosa Adhikari, which we speak about in our book, Wake Up Laughing, My Miraculous Life with Sai Baba. There's a chapter on her, and it has to do with her having been a resurrected woman. And we'll talk about that another time. By the way, twice, when Barosa Adhikari has invited me to take groups to Kathmandu to visit her, miracles were popping like popcorn every day. For example, during devotional singing, a pink carnation one day popped out of the air, just pop, above me and landed on my head. Now, Barosa had asked each of us before we came to the devotional singing that morning to buy a small, round, 2-inch wide aluminum vibhuti box to place on the windowsill of her prayer room, which we did. Now, all of these charming little boxes had tops on them, which we put on securely. And then while we were all singing together, the closed boxes on the windowsill all filled up with surprises from Sai Baba. Most of them had vibhuti ash, and some people found gemstones inside those boxes, such as a ruby or a diamond or a topaz. Now, I was sitting right beside the window. It was just right next to me. Nobody went near it. We were all sitting on the floor together singing. There was no one who opened the tops and put anything near it. They would have been directly beside me, and they would have brushed me if they had been near. No, it just happened interdimensionally as one of Sai Baba's many, many, many miracles and gifts to all of us. Now then, over the years, Barossa would visit her daughter Sujata and her son-in-law Sarit in Salt Lake City, Utah, and when she came, devotees from all across the U.S. would travel there for satsang and for devotional singing and miracles, of which there were plenty right under our noses. Now, for example, when she came to Utah, Barossa would direct everyone to bring a bunch of green bananas. They had to be green, and then some photos of saints or photos of Sai Baba, depending upon what their faith was. If they were Christian, they could bring pictures of Jesus or Mary, and so on. And they could also bring pictures of family members who had had illnesses or injuries that they would like to have healed. So during the singing, Sai Baba's holy, white, fragrant healing ash would spontaneously manifest on the photos that were laid out on the tables. Then, invisibly, Sai Baba would write messages in brown cursive writing on the green bananas. It looked somewhat like as if he had had a wood burner and burned the words and phrases and hearts and Om symbols and various things on each person's banana. And of all the people there could have been 50 or 60 people in the room. He knew exactly which bunch of green bananas belonged to whom. For example, he wrote one time, on my bunch, Connie, start healing now. Love, Baba. Well, this was a long time ago. I had no idea what he meant. What do you mean, healing? Heal who? How heal? What does that mean? And so I just kept wondering, but I didn't do anything because I didn't know what it meant. Now, Barossa was told by Sai Baba that she will be the child of Prema Sai Baba sometime after he is 21 and married, and he'll be a householder with one child. So he is now, Prema Sai Baba is now alive, and he's 11 years old as of November 27th, 2022, and he was born November 27th, 11 years ago. So according to my calculations, and they could be wrong, I have to warn you, he will receive the pravesha, or divine awareness, vibration, and consciousness that he's the Lord of the universe in about, get ready, 1,000 days from now. It's now February 4th, 2023. According to my calculations, depending on whether he announces on his own birthday, November 27th, or in October, or not on any of the dates that we're accustomed to having been special in the global Psi movement. So if he does that, and we have heard that he could wait until he's 21, but we've been told that when Shirdi Sai Baba, the first of the triple avatarhood, announced himself in Shirdi, India, or in North India, he was 14 years old. When Satya Sai Baba announced that he was the avatar, or the divine incarnation, or the Lord of the universe that had come to save mankind, he was 14 years old as well. So it stands to reason that unless for some reason it is not convenient, or the people are not ready to receive him, or other things are going on, that he would announce that he is the Lord sometime in the fall, we think, 3 years from now. All right. Now, during the singing in Salt Lake City, Barossa would walk around the room. Everyone was seated on the floor. Some were seated in chairs. And then at some point, she would get up and then just silently gesture for everybody to stand up and form a queue or a line. a single file line facing the altar in the front of the room. Then she would bring out her water-filled, embossed silver water carafe with a curved spout, and then everybody would open their mouths if they were the next in line, and then she would pour water out of her silver carafe into each person's mouth as she prayed for them. Sometimes she would put a little dot of vibhuti ash on their forehead. Sometimes she would bless them by placing her hand on the crown of their head. But you get the idea. We were all lined up, and she had her back to the altar facing us, and then she would quickly pour water, bless the people, and so on until everybody was able to have that blessing and healing. Now, this is really exciting. Her daughter Sujata told us an amazing story about a miracle that Sai Baba did for Sujata on 3 different occasions. They were like the one I'm about to tell you. Now, Sue had had thyroid problems, and surgery was recommended, but she was adamant. She did not want to have surgery. So one morning, when she and her mother Barossa were sleeping together in their queen-size bed in their house in Salt Lake City, they woke up to 2 surprises. First, the white bedspread was covered with lots of fragrant, dewy, velvety, red rose petals tossed all across it. They had no roses in the room. Nobody had done that. Neither Sue nor Barossa. That must have been Baba. So then Sujata felt a certain scratchiness in her throat. She got up, ran to the mirror, and she saw a fresh red surgical scar across her thyroid area. This scar was evidence of God's quick, invisible, bloodless surgery without anesthesia or pain, and neither one of them even knew he had been there. There was no blood on the sheets or the pillowcases. There was no sign of surgical instruments or of stitches. It was amazing. So Sai did thyroid surgeries invisibly with no pain, anesthesia, or blood 3 times where she slept right through it. And she never had to have conventional thyroid surgery. Well, unfortunately, after some years, the great earthquake in Kathmandu, Nepal, ruined Barossa's large house and compound, which is a lovely, lovely place. So Barossa now lives in a small apartment in Nepal, and she has diabetes and she can't travel. The next story I would like to tell you about is about a teenage girl in Edmonton, Canada. This girl also was quite afraid of surgery, as many people are, but she needed heart surgery. So one day, when she was going to bed at night, she put on her PJs and jumped into bed, and the next thing she knew, when she woke up in the morning, she felt very strange, and she felt like she was wearing some sort of a corset, which she was. She was wearing a metal post-cardiac surgery corset to keep her ribs together, but she didn't to take. It also had neatly typed her name and the date of her surgery. Well, she gingerly felt all around and felt that there was something metal there. She looked down at her chest. She opened her PJ top, and she saw that this surgical work of open heart surgery in the way of a neat vertical scar was on her chest, bandaged up, and as I said, a surgical corset was keeping the ribs together. So she shouted, "Mom! Dad! Mom! Dad, come here quick!" And they ran in the room, and she said, Look what happened. I think Baba gave me heart surgery overnight. No blood, no anesthesia, no pain. I didn't see him. I didn't feel anything. Oh, thank you, Lord. Well, naturally, they had to go to the conventional doctors that had said that she needed heart surgery in the first place. They were absolutely astounded, and they admired the surgical work and said this was done by an absolutely superb heart surgeon with a lot of experience. Oh, he has a lot of experience. And they marveled at the story of the divine physician and his love sublime. Now then, the next thing we're going to share with you is 3 time collapse stories. The next one involves a time when I was running late, driving from a city nearby that's about a half an hour away. Now, I'm seldom late. I plan in advance. I realize if I'm late, that inconveniences everybody else, and I want to be thoughtful. And so I plan, and then I usually arrive early for meetings and appointments. So something happened in this other city that caused me, I think we got caught up in traffic or something, and I absolutely had to get home for a very important long distance phone call in 15 minutes, and the drive was 30 minutes. Well, I just determined I'm not going to be late. That's all there is to it. I'm not going to be late. So I said I drove the speed limit, which is 75 miles an hour in Colorado, and I arrived home in 15 minutes, which is impossible. Now, the whole way I chanted, I'm not late. I'm not late. I arrive in time. I'm not late. I arrive in time. I'm not late. I arrive in time. I'm not late. And Jim has that on a chart for you. So now don't go pushing it, and please don't do anything dangerous. You can drive the speed limit and try this out, and it works much better if you plan. But sometimes if you even plan and you leave early, unforeseen things happen, as we all know. So
Start early, drive safely.
Yes, reach.
Or drive slowly, arrive safely.
Right,
Start early, drive slowly, arrive safely.
Yes, that's one of Sai Baba's most famous sayings, and we've always abided by that. Now then, the next thing that has to do with time is it's a teaching story called Secrets of Sai Baba's Healings and Resurrections. Now, as we've said, and for the new people that don't know us, we've taken 55 groups of sick people to Sai Baba for healings over 40 years, and he has healed them, and we didn't charge anything for it. We did not get discounts on our plane fares. We derived no benefit whatsoever, and we were thrilled to be able to do that service. So it was selfless and not selfish service. Now, in other words, which we're all encouraged to do selfless service and then forget it immediately and never remember the things you do for others or the Lord does them through you, but always remember the kindnesses that other people do for you. Now then, in one interview there, Sai Baba brought us in, and we did not certainly get an interview or an audience with him on every trip, certainly not, but he gave us quite a few. So we all gathered around him, and actually I recalled there were probably about 25 or 30 people in the room, and as I ran in, I sat down right in front of him. I don't know how I had the nerve to do that, but I just sat down, crossed my legs, and grabbed onto his left big toe. And I was holding onto his left big toe, and his let's see, is that right? I was holding onto his right big toe, his legs were crossed, and his left hand during the interview. And immediately, he put the idea into my head to ask him this question, which I hadn't planned to ask. But I said, Lord, would you please be so good to tell us the secret of how you do all your healings and your resurrections and everything that you do? Like, for example, your healings. People can be on their deathbed, and then you can heal them right away when everyone in the way of the doctor staff and hospital staff has said, there is no hope. This person is about to cross over. And then he just smiled at me and said, that's easy, and it's not a secret. I'll be happy to tell all of you like that. So we all leaned forward so we didn't miss a single syllable. So he said, it's like those VHS videotape black ribbons. Now, this was a long time ago when they had VHS videotapes and 2 spools. So he said, now just imagine that I'm holding up a piece of black tape, and then I am snipping off a piece of it just before the person becomes ill. So I review their life as if it's a videotape story, and then right when was the last time that they were healthy, I snip off the video then, and then I piece it together to connect it to the present. I throw away the part where they were sick or injured. I just throw that away. We don't need that anymore. The past is past. And so I connect the 2 parts of the videotape together, and then I declare them healed. I say, cancel cancer now, cancel cancer. And then their cancer disappears from their body. Oh, wow. That was pretty exciting. Well, the next, I didn't think I was going to say this, but so we'll just read the chart and I'll tell you what I was not going to say. This is not a secret. Imagine their life up to the injury or illness as if it's on a videotape of VHS nature. Then snip out the period on the tape containing the illness and connect or splice the tape as you cancel the injury or illness. For example, cancer. You could try that yourself. The Lord is in you. You can try it. All right. While this was happening, and he told us, I said, oh, thank you so much for telling us that. I've always wanted to know how you did that. Then I got the thought in my head, ask if you can touch my hair. So I thought, oh, that's so bold. No, I would never do that. It's so forward. And then I heard, ask if you can touch my hair. Well, I said, Swami, yes. Do you mind if I would touch your hair? Oh, no. Of course you may touch my hair. And so he leaned his head forward, and I touched his hair very gently. It was soft as silk. You wouldn't think it would be soft in silk. It was so curly. And at the moment, he was leaning forward, and I was leaning forward to touch it. The crown of his head was facing me, and all of a sudden, he showed me scenes of the future in his hair. And I said, oh my. And Swami said, oh my what? I said, Swami, you're showing me a movie in your hair. And he said, yes, tell everyone what you're seeing. And I said, it's showing you traveling around the world, although mostly you've not left India. But in the future, you're coming to the United States and all around the world. He said, yes. And I said, there are so many crowds and people are happy and you're manifesting things and you're giving talks and it's so wonderful. He said, yes. Well, that was extraordinary. But we have more to tell you. Now, this is the chart of the Sai Baba healing, which we just showed you. And so now we have the 3rd time collapse or time travel technique. This one involves healing. Remember that God is the doer and we are merely his healing instruments. These are the steps if you're working with someone in person or on a screen, for example, Zoom, Skype, something else. This is what you do. Make sure that you have a strong catcher nearby, and instruct them how to let the person fall face up into their arms, and the catcher is going to put his shin and his thigh gently under their bottom and their back and let them fall onto the catcher's chest so that the catcher's body is behind them and under them the whole time until they are gently lowered to the floor or lowered to a futon or onto a massage table or a bed or a sofa. A competent, caring, attentive catcher is crucial. You never want to let somebody fall down on their hips or their bottom or their spine. So taking care of them with great attention is our first priority. That is part of love, to do a job professionally and carefully and thoroughly. Now, as the client stands right in front of you, ask them what their name is, George, Sally, John, and then what healing they're seeking, such as for liver cancer, for example. Then ask them when they were diagnosed with it and what else of a significant nature was happening in their life during that same period. For example, let's say that they say, oh, well, this happened, oh my goodness, in January of 2021, and oh, my father died then. And then I lost my job, and then 2 months later I developed cancer of the liver. And then, for example, you say to them, well, we are going to time travel you back so many years or months, starting now to when that happened. So, we're going to go back to, let's say, December of 2022, November 2022, October, September, then we're going all the way back to January of 2021. Now, when you get to that significant date, right before you get to it, you look at the catcher to make sure the catcher is ready. So you nod to each other, ready. Then just lightly tap the person on the forehead with either index finger, and then with the other index finger, very lightly, simultaneously, where you are guided, tap them somewhere else. Whatever jumps out or lights up for you, like on their throat or on their hip or on their navel, whatever. So you've got one index finger on their third eye, just lightly, just ding, like that, ding, and then the other one, ding, wherever else on the front of them. All right. It might be the throat or the liver. So make sure that the catcher's ready, I said, and then you say, and then on this date, and then you go tap, tap. So this is a chart so that you can know what it looks like. You can make notes on it. You can come back to it. And we are not healers. This is our disclaimer. We do not do anything. God does it all through us. So if you get healed, it's not our fault. I'm sorry. We didn't do it. God does it. Now then, okay. So that's actually page 2. We need page 1.
I did page 1.
Okay, but we're going to step through that now.
Oh, okay.
Okay, sorry.
Sure.
Okay, so you say, hi, John. Now, I have a key here on my finger that is going to unlock your healing. So just imagine my finger is a key. You don't have to be concerned about it. And when I touch you with this key, it's going to unlock your healing. Now, what would you like to have healed? What year or month did this happen? What else was happening in your life? A shock, a loss, or a trauma, okay? And then also, then you count back the months or the years, and you tap them gently on the forehead at the same time at some other place. So both of your index fingers at the same time go tap. They'll topple or collapse onto the sofa or massage table, futon or bed face up, and then just let them lie there, rest or sleep for 5 to 15 minutes, and then have them give you a report. Unless you're in a gigantic room of people and you can't spend that much time with every single person. So then you'll have to figure out how to streamline your process. Start practicing. The Lord is moving. Energy's happening. The revival has started. Get ready. Practice on friends, roommates, family members, colleagues. Practice. Okay. Now, what I would like to tell you is that we are bursting to tell you about the huge revival in Charleston, South Carolina that just started a few days ago. At the beginning of February, it was, I think, around February 1st or 2nd of 2023, just now. Now, Sid Roth, the very famous Christian evangelist and author and TV host of It's Supernatural, has reported these profound miracles, which we want to share with you. Now then, here's a partial list. The event is annual. It's been going on, I think, for 14 years, maybe longer. It's called the One New Man Celebration. People become new men and women when the Lord moves through the audience during this several-day event. So, we will tell about that in a moment. And what I'd like to do is, okay, here we are. This annual celebration, pardon me, this time has been significant because there have been many round, oops, there went the chart. We need the chart back again. Thank you. There have been many round, uncut gold and topaz gems appearing in people's hands. They're open hands also. And Sid said tons. Well, I doubt it's been tons. I think that's an exaggeration, but maybe there have been hundreds. I don't know. Then there has been instantaneous weight loss of 40 pounds or more. It's been extraordinary. One woman was asked, oh my goodness, it looks like you could have lost 40 pounds or more. were your jeans this loose? And now you could put probably a 7-year-old child in the jeans that were empty, where she had just lost spontaneous weight. She said, well, my jeans were tight when I came. I'm imagining she might have weighed 350 pounds. They were tight, and my fat was hanging over the waistband. Look at this. I have no fat hanging over the waistband. And look at this. And she bunched up the side of her jeans, rolled it over, and it was extraordinary. Now, golden teeth have appeared in mouths of dozens and dozens of people, and they showed that. And you can see all this on the regular Sid Roth TV show. It's supernatural. Now, also, there's been healing of arthritis, bursitis, healing of neck, back, shoulders, heavy presence of God in the church or the venue, and there was holy laughter, where people would come up to the podium to start talking, and then they would say, oh, I have a little sinking feeling. I think I'm just going to sink right down to the ground. And they did. Others would run up to help them, like big, sturdy men would come up to help them, and those big, sturdy men would fall down on top of them. They would all start rolling around on the carpet and laughing their heads off. Maybe that's why Pentecostals got the names Holy Rollers a long time ago, because the Lord would knock them down and heal them and drench them with joy and happiness. So then, the next thing that we're going to talk about is that we are going to do the Masters of Light slideshow, so that you can play the game of seeing how many of their names and faces you recognize by now. I'll bet that you know most of them. So here we have the Masters of Light slideshow, which is just several minutes. Then we'll do the induction to gazing, and then we'll do quantum gazing with both of us. So I hope you enjoy this again.
Now let's prepare for gazing. Let's all put our hands face up in a receptive position down on our knees and think of 3 or 4 things that we'd like to have come into our lives to make them improved. And it can be about anything at all. In preparation, we always do a breathing exercise. And of course, during gazing, you'll let your mind be silent and still. But let's do the breathing exercise now. Let's all breathe in deeply, raise your shoulders up towards your ears. Now, big breath out as you imagine your consciousness dropping down into your heart center. Feeling how it feels when you're connected with your heart center. Let's breathe in again. Breathe out, consciousness down into your heart center, feeling that special feeling of consciousness in your heart. And the third time, breathe in deeply, shoulders up. Breathe out, consciousness down into your heart. Now your consciousness open up out into the universe, connecting with your idea of the quantum field of love. See the quantum field of love surrounding you, wrapping around you. Feel it. Enjoy it. And now come back into the room. And we will begin gazing.
Thank you. And now we're going to review all of the teaching models, teaching stories, and activities that we presented today. So we have that on a chart. You can see those there: Wilma's Sai Baba Gift of the Ring, the Refuge in the Blizzard, Salt Lake Surprises, the surgeries, the teen girls in-home surgery, time collapse when you're late, the secret of Sai Baba's healing process, the time travel key, a healing process, and also Masters of Light slideshow, then gazing induction, outpouring of U.S. revivals, and then miracles at Charleston, South Carolina. And this is the review of the program. Thank you, dearest, sweetest Lord, and your saints and angelic hosts for your love sublime today and always. Thank you, viewers, for joining us. And now we must love you and leave you until Saturday, March the 11th, 2023, at 2 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Remember how much God loves you and that he wants to drench you with his joy, blessings, healing, and miracles because you are loved and lovable. You deserve it. You're worthy. Tell him that you're ready to be his vessel for healing and spiritual gifts coming through you, and thank him and talk to him continually. Sairam, Shalom, farewell, Namaste until next time, and may you now, and now you may start soaking in your own special God meditation with our beloved.